Morning, everybody, and beam me up, Scotty Land. Wherever you are, good morning. Good morning. It is so wonderful to be back here, you guys. I mean, I just have to tell you, I'm overwhelmed by all the great stories. I really, really am. It's just this work that I do and that Adrian does, that Sharon does, it's riddled with challenges because it's about personal change, right? It's about organizational change, and we know that changing yourself is difficult enough. When we hear that people are in their sweet spot, that they're adding value, they're expanding impact, and they're able to articulate that with clarity, I mean, it's just a high. I just got to tell you, it's just a real high. And then on top of that, I just want to make an announcement that we have a new geek that's going to be born in the next month or so to our Blueprint Power couple, Sylvia and Hernan. Yes, yes, yes. So, you know, she's with child. We have another blueprinter who just had a baby boy. Yes, yes, yeah. And then, you know, the stories of I got a new job and I'm in a new space and I'm doing exactly what I said I wanted to do. It's just fantastic. I just could go on and on and on about that. You know, when I first started thinking about this conversation, I thought about it in terms of success. But you know what? We could correlate this just as much to one word, and that would be confidence, right? In chatting with some folks this morning, and I think that you guys would agree, there's a you know, an extreme level of negativity that's going around the organization. People are fearful. People have doubt. Emotional responses to change is perfectly normal, but not for blueprinters. Not for you guys, okay? And it's not to say that you guys have something that everybody else doesn't have, but what you do have is you know how to navigate. You know how to take that personal ownership. You know how to be intentional about building your strategy. You know the fruits, the rewards that will come if you are intentional. And because of that, as Adrian said, there's sort of this expectation, you guys, that you will be the role models. And I'm asking you personally, for everything that's being invested in you and has been invested in you, it's sort of time, you guys, for you guys to become, you know, where the cream rises. And you're the ones who are the early adopters. And so I want to talk to you today about being an early adopter, being confident. You remember we talked about the Jack Welch quote, which said, when the speed of change on the outside exceeds the speed of change on the inside, the end is in sight, right? And so that's a good, you know, book into the Viktor Frankl quote about when you can no longer change a situation, you're ultimately left with the realization that all you can do is change yourself. So the first thing that I ask you guys to examine is, how are you showing up now? Are you showing up hopeful? Are you showing up confident? Are you showing up as a thought leader? Because I tell you, you know, when organizational change is going on, there is a lot of water cooler conversations, a lot. And most of them, honestly, are not that good. They sort of go like this. I don't know what they're doing. You know, it might be some more flavorful language in there, but I don't get it. Why are they doing that, right? And what about this? How is that going to work? And so we have these internal debates with ourselves and with others that don't add not one iota of value. So I appeal to you today to check your confidence level, because we are two peas in a pod. Right? One can't succeed without the other. One cannot succeed without the other. You too must transform yourself. That's the deal today. We have to become agents of transformation. When we think about what that means for us, we have to challenge ourselves to see not just what's happening with me, what's happening with everybody that I touch. And so for those of you who have been around me, you know we like to throw out homework assignments. It wouldn't be right for us to be together if we didn't have a homework assignment, right? So your very first homework assignment is I want you to identify 5 people that you are now going to intentionally bring along with you. 5 people that may be on the fence or may not be as confident or as convicted as you are. 5 people that you're going to say, hey, come with me. I'm going to show you the way because I'm the early adopter. And if we do that, then what we have the opportunity to do is to extend an invitation to the future. Because I'm convinced, and I think you guys know this about me, that whatever the future becomes, it's on us. It's not BK. It's not just Renee. It's not just the MCM. It's not just that body. Really? No. Where the rubber really meets the road is right in the middle. And that's you guys, right? That's you guys that are getting ready to move to that more senior leadership level, influencing each other. And so as we start to peel back this onion, I want to touch the truth, okay? So I can ask you guys to do things differently, and you can agree to do things differently. So unless we have early adopters, people like you, and I'm asking each and every one of you, the entire Blueprint family, we have got to be the role models. We have got to look at this culture, and we've got to challenge people who are not getting on the train. Because as we talked before we got started this morning, the train is sort of left, right? We're sort of at the back cars, to see who else is going to get on. And not to be pessimistic, because I think you guys know that I'm really very optimistic, but I think people are going to have to make a choice. So what does that mean? What does that mean? That means, yes, we have to be cognizant of speed. We've got to get to market quicker. And so from a very practical standpoint, whatever projects that you're on, I'm asking you to be the voice in the room. When people go, well, let's get another committee together so that we can get another committee together and have a re-examination of what the committee said so that we can formulate another committee, and then we'll, you know the story, right? Y'all are smiling because you know. Okay. That is unacceptable behavior. We don't have time for that. So you need to be the voice that says, why can't we execute? Why can't we move it forward? Because that's how accountability is really going to start to live and breathe. One of the bigger things that I really want to appeal to you guys is this notion of silos. This is my sandbox. You got your sandbox. Don't come over in my sandbox. That is cray-cray in a spirit of love. We had to get that in, right? We had to get in the spirit of love in at some time during the presentation. I need to ask you to really make sure that you are doing your homework and that you are gaining an enterprise-wide understanding of the business. That was one of the things that we really stressed in the 9 months that we were together. It's like, what do you know about the business? How are you building relationships across the silos? So your second homework assignment today is, as you think about you as a leader, I'm asking you to be intentional about not just influencing those 5 people that I asked you to pick and identify to bring along with you, but now I'm asking you to do this. I'm asking you in your role, and many of you touch a lot of different departments. Many of you touch departments. How are you an agent to bring down those walls? To begin the dialogue? How are you setting up MBOs with someone from another department, cross-functionally? How are you creating new alliances so that departments that didn't talk to each other are now having great, fruitful dialogue and conversation? These are value-added leadership behaviors, and as you'll see, BK and Renee are saying this is what we want from leaders as we go further into our discussion today. And so we're asking you guys to really think about being the catalyst for something new to happen, for something big to happen that hasn't happened before. Now, many of you are working on really exciting, really just cutting edge stuff, right? And that gives you some extra clout by which you can start to have dialogue with council members or whomever else that's going to help you to build that bridge to the next department so we can break down these silos. And that we can really start to think about people as the greatest asset. But if we're not careful, what will happen is we will have to repeat the class. And the enemy is a very good teacher. Enemy is a very, very good teacher. How many people noticed that a little company called Amazon is now holding up what? What are they holding up? Smartphone came out of nowhere, right? I mean, were we really thinking that Amazon was going to do that? Were we really anticipating? Were we talking across the lines and saying, hey, look, some other stuff can come out the woodwork? And not that I have the crystal ball, but you remember one of the last times that we were together, I said to you guys, Amazon is everybody's #1 competitor. Amazon. Okay? I mean, you look at that little company that I love to talk about down in Bentonville, you might know of it, that company called Walmart, right? Walmart has not really fully embraced, in my humble opinion, the fact that Amazon is its primary competitor, right? So I'm asking you guys to start having the conversations in a different way because that will enable us to stay ahead of the game. Now, let's boil it down. Let's be as practical as we can. The slide that is on the screen right now, you may or may not have seen. This information came out, I guess about 6 months ago, and it came from BK and Renee, and basically they boiled the leadership expectations down to 3 categories. How many people have seen the slide? Okay, some people, about 50% have seen it, 50% haven't. Okay, what this slide says, you guys, is no matter what department that you're in, you must have a story that is valid to tell about how your function is helping to advance business. So your next homework assignment from today's brief conversation is, if I asked you, how are you helping to ship out 40 million tablets? Can you tell me? Or if I asked you, how are you helping to drive more business to the data center? Can you tell me? Could you tell me, could you articulate what those critical levers are that the company must hit it, you guys? We were just having a chat about how many tablets that we've shipped. And so far we've shipped 17. 7 plus 10, 17. Yeah. Oh, what does that remind you of? It was Mandela's funeral. Brother was up there having a good time. It was just so funny. It was hilarious. So you were doing the Mandela funeral thing, man, with me. Okay, so 17 million. Okay, so you guys, Wall Street's not going to reward you if you don't come clean with a 40 million amount of shipments come December 31st. So as thought leaders, as early adopters, you are asking people all the time, are you on point? In those meetings where people go, well, you know, directionally I think we're going to be, no. Are you going to be on point or are you not going to be on point? And so we have to start modeling that. So the second thing, which I love, lead our people. And the migration has been not just that we produce results, but that we have great people that we are going to develop and we're going to nurture and bring out the greatest potential in them. And I see your faces and I know what you're thinking. There are still some cray-cray. Yes, there's still some cray-cray managers. Total transparency. We have to love them and bring them along with us. But what's important about this particular dynamic, look at the third line, you guys. Role model courage, candor, and integrity in the face of change. And so what that should give you is permission to challenge the status quo. That should give you the authority to be able to say, are we doing the right thing by people? Are we really honoring people as our company's greatest asset? And if you don't see that, then use your voice. Use your voice. Insert yourself. And then the last thing that I think, I just think that this whole slide is brilliant, my personal opinion. It's pretty clear. Everything has to be executed with a high sense of urgency. So wherever you are in terms of your deliverables, so you guys, you know how big I am on focal and being ready at all times. I just got to insert this in here. So we're July, and we should be having our focal conversations. Even if you're doing focal light, focal not, focal, whatever you want to call it. Somebody should be having some conversations about, are you delivering above expectations? And for blueprinters, that's a jacks to get into the playground kind of expectation. We know the importance of doing this, right? And so if you were to grade yourself as a homework assignment, if you were to grade yourself on grow the business on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 low, 10 high, if you were grading yourself, what grade would you give? If you were grading yourself on leading people, even if you don't have people, many of you now are in positions where you have people that report to you, that's just wonderful. But even if you're not there in terms of having direct reports, leading people through influence and collaboration and all that stuff, you can still grade yourself. What grade would you give yourself? And then finally, this executing with excellence and urgency. Where would you come out? And I'm asking each of you to honestly evaluate yourself as a part of preparation for your focals. And I'm asking you to use this as your marching orders on how you're going to be evaluated. How many of you have had a discussion with your manager about this particular new set of leadership expectations? Show of hands. 1, 2, 3. I see 3. Can we go for 4? Can we go for 4? 4. I got 4 right here. Can we go for 5? 5. Ticket right there. 5. 6. Can we go for 6? Can we go for 6? 6, 6, 6. Can't see me and beam me up, Scotty Land. But I would submit, based upon what we see here in the auditorium, that there is a homework assignment in the midst. And the homework assignment is, you guys, you get to get level set on this document right here. Because this is the new expectations for leaders. So let's peel back the onion a little bit more, and let's talk about this notion of creative disruption as it relates to what we're expecting of ourselves, what we believe, what we think that we need to change. So again, many of you have experienced such significant success, but can I humbly challenge you to understand that you're just getting started. I know that many of you are in new jobs. I'm so happy and so proud, but blueprinters don't stop. The jumping the curve has to continue. So this notion of creative disruption says, I am willing to continue to challenge myself and willing to challenge other people for the sake of driving for excellence. So wherever you are, the homework assignment that I'd like for you to give, and I promise I'm going to slow down on the homework assignments, the homework assignment that I'd like for you to think about is, how do you fit in the New World Order? Where are you going to fit? What's the story that you want to tell? Because there's such massive amounts of opportunity. Now, I know you guys are thinking, Trudy, you're crazy. They're offering VSPs. Okay? I know that. And, we talk honestly. All right? And someone said to me, well, they're even offering VSPs in the Internet of Things. And I say, okay, that's not surprising. Why should that surprise you? Right? What did I say to you guys in terms of the change that was coming? They're looking for leaders with new capabilities. It doesn't surprise me that there would need to be VSPs, because we need a different set of skills now than we did before. First of all, if you have not read this book, this is a must read, particularly where you guys are now, The Heart of Change. And some people probably are familiar with this book, or hopefully you scanned it or heard about it. But John P. Carter is a professor out of Harvard. He's written 20-plus books on change. He's gone very, very deep with change. And you know what he says? He says that 30% of all organizational change doesn't work. It doesn't work. And it's not because, again, of process. It's not because of systems. It's not because of that, you guys. It's because people, their emotions run amok. Their emotions go the wrong way, and change is emotional. And we have to recognize that this is the game that we're really playing. So every day, don't be surprised in this new world order that you're going to see people that are all over the board in terms of their belief in the new world order. And your charge as agents of change, as a catalyst for transformation, your charge as an early adopter is you've got to be able to convince people that change is a good thing for this company. Like, if in a second, maybe we'll do this. I'll just bring somebody up on stage. You know, I just have to do that. So, Sylvia, you should get yourself ready. Just giving you a heads up. But you know, if you walk in the hallway, you can hear conversations, positive and negative. I did it this morning. In fact, I wanted to go to the facilities, and I forgot that there were just restrooms right here. I went into the inside, you know, over by the elevator. I went all the way around there, and I could even hear the chit-chat with people, some sort of neutral, some that were still like this. You remember we talked about people walking like this? You guys, if you see some people, just stop them and say, baby, put your shoulders up, do something. It's not a good look. I mean, just, you know, use your humor. But I mean, when you, I could, probably 4 or 5 people like this. I just want to say, baby, planet Earth, you know, air, breathe, get it going, something, or get out, right? But if you are not prepared to tell the story of why this change is so good, if you guys are not prepared and the company has invested in you, can you imagine what everybody else out there is feeling? Can you imagine that? It speaks to each of you having your own unique opportunity, each of you, right? And to really foster it, you've got to get an emotional connection with somebody else. You got an emotional connection to make people believe. This is what I'm talking about getting people on board to the point that they believe. You know, Adrian and Prentice are joining forces to do some partnering things with employee resource groups and mentoring and things. There's all kinds of opportunities out there. Okay, so there are a lot of us who have these ideas, but you know, sometimes we get demotivated because when we go forward, the management doesn't seem to embrace it, right? Because it's not one of the MBOs, or you know, it's not on anybody's agenda. And part of what's happening in the transformation of the organization is that the company is trying to spark. They're trying to spark this new thinking process of possibilities, right? The whole effort around possibility thinking was so that this would happen. But the culture of the organization, there are still people who want to stay in the old way of doing things. And the counsel and the advice that I give to you is be stubborn. That's going to be our new mantra. Be stubborn. Find somebody that you can make the emotional connection with, because there are other early adopters who are out there, but you're just going to have to find them. Leverage the council members. Leverage those council members, you guys, who might have a passion in whatever area it is that you want to advance. Keep on shaking the tree until you find somebody who actually believes in the idea. This is Sylvia's story. I mean, we don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but we know that change is hard. And what you guys have to do is to become brilliant storytellers. Now, that's something we're going to emphasize even more in the upcoming Blueprint program. But let me give you an example. Okay, some of you are in the millennial group, and so this might be a little bit of a stretch. Those of you who are baby boomers or near baby boomer age groups, you will instantly recall this. So in 1961, then President John F. Kennedy said, by the end of the decade, we will put a man on the moon. Now, we could have all kinds of debates about what the motivation was for that, because Russia had, already advanced, and so perhaps there was some competition that was there. I definitely would not debate that. But the fact of the matter is, this man was able to convince other people at a time when we had no resources. We had no understanding of how the mechanics would work. We had no blueprint. We didn't even have the astronauts. So imagine what people looked at him and they said, you need to take some medication. Or you took too many of your pills today, because he was known for taking a little something to help his back. And his hip. And his head. Okay, but anyway, that's a whole nother story. Okay, we're back on this, okay? But just imagine this man saying, we're going to put a man on the moon. Right? And everybody's going like, what is he talking about? Like, where is this coming from? What are we going to do? That's where you guys are. That's exactly where you guys are. Where you have these ideas as early adopters, and people are going to look at you and they're going to say you're cray-cray. But you have to be stubborn enough to say, no, I am the early adopter. I am the one who's taking us to the future. You want to get on board with me. So I really want to encourage you guys. I know you're all so wicked smart. You are all so wicked smart that the tendency in this game is going to be to go to the left side of the brain. And I want to bring back to your recollection that you are not playing on the left side of the brain. You are playing on the right side of the brain. You are selling new thoughts. You are selling new behaviors. You are selling new methods. You are selling new ways to win. And that is all, my friends, about the right side of the brain where the emotion is. So if you go at it from, hey, this is going to advance us, 40 million times, people are like, well, that's really incremental. I mean, Sylvia, come on, really? But if you go, you know how people are. Y'all know the cray-crays. But if you go to it from, imagine the impact that we could have if we sow a seed and get them excited. We got to get other people excited about the stuff that we want to do. Does that make sense to you guys? So I ask you today, whatever is burning inside of you that maybe somebody has squelched out, whoever that somebody is, you cut them out. Click, 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 click. And, we hope it's not a manager. But if it is, then we deal with that too, right? Sylvia, you've been able to find some love with the manager. Now the manager's like, Sylvia works for me. Yeah, she works for me. I lifted her up. I gave her the path to success, right? So we know we're going to have some people who act like that. Okay, forget it, whatever. As long as we advance our idea. Does that make sense to you guys? All right, so what does it boil down to as we start moving to the last section here? It boils down to leadership. That's what this company's transformation is about, leaders. And we're asking you guys to push the power button and really lean in as hard as you possibly can. Your future and this organization's future is contingent upon every single person who is and calls themselves a blueprinter, taking it up to a whole new level. You guys have experienced, again, phenomenal success. It's wonderful, but the company needs you in a different angle now. It needs you as thought leaders. It needs you figuring out what's going to be that next turn. And when you have nothing, don't be afraid. Take the white piece of paper and create something, right? That's what you do. Or you take somebody else's idea and you build on it. But you put yourself out there as an early adopter. And this slide that you're seeing right now is from some research that was done actually back in the 70s. And what it talks about is, what's the tipping point where early adopters become the majority? And it talks about, even before they're early adopters, they're innovators. Sylvia, what you just demonstrated was an innovator. See, the innovators have the thought, okay, and they have to muster up the courage. They have to find their voice. They have to step out. You know, they have to be the ones that take that leap. And other people look at them like, what are you doing? You know, why are you doing that? That's sort of BK and Renee as they have re-engineered, you know, who's on first, who's on second, right? I mean, there's no secret that you guys are now, you have a new marketing leader, right? Does everybody know that? How many people know that? Yay, that's wonderful. You guys are reading the tea leaves. I love that. Okay, so I bet you, I promise you, the day that decision was made, people either went, hallelujah, it's about time, or they went, what are they doing? She was just getting started. Things were just, okay? But the innovator says, I see something that nobody else sees, and I'm not afraid to make that first step. So besides being the people who say, okay, I can get on board with it, I'm asking you guys to be innovators, right? And so once you have the combination of the innovators and the early adopters, which is about 16%, that's the lever. That's the lever when the rest of the organization comes with you. Now, listen to me. On average, what the research says is that it can take 20 to 25 years to change an organization's culture. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have that kind of time. You don't have that luxury. You don't. So we have to have everybody, as quickly as possible, really believing in the new way forward and really socializing the message. We're asking you guys, as early adopters, you have to be a salesperson. And if you don't remember this statement, I want to bring it back to your recollection. I said to you this: we are all in the business of sales. Every single day. Day in, day out. You may not call yourself a salesperson, but every single one of us is in the business of sales if we are driving something. Why? Because we have to influence other people. We have to bring other people along with us. And people are not going to come if you don't answer this one question: what's in it for me? So as you're advancing your ideas and the naysayers push back, just challenge yourself. Did I say what's in it for that person? Did I tell the story in a way that it demonstrated what was in it for them? Because that's what everybody is waking up every morning asking. What's in it for me? Why should I want to do this? So the few minutes that we've had together, what I've really been trying to do is very quickly bring back to recollection some things that we've talked about, insert some things that are new, right? Insert hopefully some inspiration and some motivation for you guys to really jump in like you've never jumped in before. And really, I'm just trying to ignite a spark, you know, just get a spark to stick. And that's what happened when we first started Blueprint. It was like a little seed, and then we had to nourish it. Maybe at the beginning you guys are thinking, I don't know if this stuff really works, you know, that kind of mentality. And then once you saw it working, it was like, okay, let me get on board with this, right? But there's a spark. There's a spark for you becoming an early adopter. I got to go out in the audience, and I heard a couple of people talking about, okay, you know, people are listening to me, and, you know, I feel valued. That's the start of the spark, right? If people are listening to you and you feel valued, that's the start. But the question or questions that we've been dealing with is the what, so what, and now what. The so what is, it needs you. It needs you. It needs thought leaders. It needs the innovators like we talked about. It needs the early adopters. And so if you didn't describe yourself as either an innovator or an early adopter based upon the work, incidentally, and let me just go back just so that you guys know, there's a great SlideShare presentation that's out there on this work about early adopters and innovators. In addition to the Heart of Change by Carter, it might be worth your taking a dive on this. I'd like to give you a homework assignment. This is almost my last one, I promise you. I said almost my last one. You got to give me a little grace. But what I would do, particularly for those of you who have teams where you have direct reports, at your next meeting, I would take some of this work. You know, I'm happy to have you guys use my slides, but I would go through it with my team. And I talk to the team about what does it mean to be agents of innovation or agents of early adoption. What does that mean? How are we as a team going to show up, right? And if you don't have people that report to you, what I do is I'd send this work to my key stakeholders, and I'd say, you know, can we talk about how the work that we're doing together can be either in an innovator capacity or can demonstrate early adoption? Then what we're trying to do, you guys, is to start a movement, right? If all 800 or almost 900 blueprinters actually buy into this and we start having these kind of conversations, it's going to shift. It's going to cause a shift. You're going to see it. Just like you've seen it before in your own career now, you're being teed up now to have strategic impact to the business. Right? Before, we were really trying to expand your business acumen and to get you where you were able to lead yourself. Okay, you're not babies anymore. You've done that. Now you have to have strategic thought leadership to contribute to the business. And this is the way that you do it. So what we've had a chance to do is to talk about these things. And the big now what is? You're the rest of the story. See, we can only give you part of the story. You know, we can inspire, we can tell you why, we can give you the rationale, but ultimately, you guys, with the change, you got to feel something in your gut. You got to be moved enough that you are willing to step out and take a risk to make some things happen. You know, the first thing is, find your voice. Like, have an opinion about what's going on with this company. Have an opinion. Talk to people. I mean, I don't care what level that you're at. You are smart, wicked smart people. Have an opinion. Let people know what you're thinking. Now, don't be cray-cray and go be telling somebody that their stuff is jacked up. I don't advise that. You might want to use your voice in a different way. Pay attention to the small things. What am I talking about? In the meetings where naysayers are just spewing negativity. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. You know people who just spew it. Nah! Shut up. That's what you say to them. In a spirit of love, of course. You might want to put some sugar around it and all that. But pay attention to the small things to help make the transformation. You know, continue to strive, you guys, even though you're not hooked up to Blueprint. The jumping the curve methodology is applicable every day of our lives. And I would suggest to you guys, last homework assignment. Okay, second to last. I would suggest to you guys that it's time for you to take an inventory of your capabilities. I would humbly submit that you've grown, we know you've grown, you've experienced success, we know you've experienced success, but I would suggest that it's time for you to jump that curve, and the way to do it is look at your capabilities and your competencies and make that comparison, and then decide, you guys, what do you need to add to your toolkit to take it to the next level. So I would just like to say that. Of course, stay focused on the right things. And by all means, definitely to the question up above, don't let people take you off your platform. Don't let them knock you off. Don't even go there. Honestly, you guys, when there's a lot of research around people who have deep illnesses like cancer. And they talk about their environment, like who's around them. And if you've ever had anyone in your family with cancer, you know that this is the truth. The people who should surround those individuals are positive. They believe, right? They're not the, oh my God, it's doom. No, the data says you have to have people that are going to breathe into your spirit. And so I just would remind you that the relationships that you have should be really good ones. And then, we got to make stuff happen. I mean, at the end of the day, you guys, we've got to drive for results. I mean, in a big way. And then our new mantra is no passengers. No passengers. Nobody gets to be a roach. Nobody gets to sit on the sideline. Nobody gets to do anything like that. Because in organizations that make monumental turnarounds, success, if you study companies who have done that, if you look at the IBMs, if you look at the General Motors, General Motors is another case study just right in front of us right now. I mean, do you know that General Motors now has recalled more vehicles this year than they have sold, right? And what is that woman now, what is she trying to do? Change the culture. That's what, if you read anything about it, it's a very interesting case study. I'm paying very close attention to it for a lot of different reasons. But at the end of the day, that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to change the culture. Everything that we do, I'm not asking you guys to lose your fantastic brain, your intellectual brain power. But the last thing I'll tell you is food for thought is, when you're making change, serious transformation, keep it as simple as possible. You know, the challenge is, can anybody pick it up and understand it? And so that's my story, and I'll end where I began, with an invitation. And the invitation that I want to remind you that you have is to create the future. Just to create the future. But to create it, you've got to believe. You honestly have got to believe. And you know, those of you who've been around me, you know my Adam. He teaches me so much about life. So does my diva daughter. Incidentally, almost 28 now, still on the market. I'm, you know, I'm just saying that there is, you know, a real viable opportunity, and so she's even more beautiful than she was a year ago, more mature, more spiritual, more loving. Okay, all right, well.
Okay, so this is the hook. We want to thank Trudy for being up on stage with us and giving you, I hope,